अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ भद्रं पश्येम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येम अक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So we're continuing on with our fifth mantra. Yatra sukto na kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam सुषुप्तस्थान एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानघनः एव आनन्दमयो हि आनन्दभुक् चेतो मुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयपादः. So we had done the meanings partially. Yatra sukto na kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. So we saw that. So now we will see the next part of it. Sushuptasthanaha ekibhutaha pragyanaghanaha eva anandamayaha hi anandabhuk cheto mukhaha pragyaha tritiya pada. So he says that tritiya pada is the pragyaha, and that has the following qualities, following characteristics by which we can uniquely identify it. So this is called a lakshana. So lakshana means that everything in the world, every person in the world is all unique with respect to everyone else. And what is defined, how it's defined to be different than anybody else is called the lakshana. This is the lakshana of the pragyaha. So let's go forward with it. So here, the next word to look at, so we looked at the manaspanditam, which is not part of the mantra, but in way of explaining how we see the world, it is very useful. And so from time to time, Swamiji is going to give us introduction to the entire spectrum of thinking, not just its particular text. So this is why I think when I thought of this, I thought of it as a course, not just looking at one text per se. The text is important and the whole course is based on the text. But there's much more to it than that. So we saw manaspanditam. So now we go back to the more classical definition of words that are used in the mantra itself. Ekibhutam. Ekibhutam. Ekibhutam means that it starts to collapse into a single entity. What collapses? All the variegated knowledge of the waking and dream state, because that's exactly what it is. Our waking and dream states are characterized by variegated experiences. Everything is different from each other. It's an amazing variety. And it's just incredible. I was just reading an advisory text by the Palo Alto Medical Foundation that I go to for my medical support. And so they send out health bulletins from time to time. Now, usually they're, I don't read it very much. But today, it talked about gut health, how important it is for your health. And so something that I was not aware of until in the last 4 or 5 years, it has become important. And I think you probably know about that. But anytime I read something more about it, I want to know more because I realize that it's a very important thing. Anyway, that's not the point. When I was reading this article, it talked about, believe it or not, this is this scientific evidence. It said in a person's gut, the stomach and the colon, the pancreas, the whole thing. I don't know what the word gut encompasses. For the doctors in you probably know better than I do. So, but anyway, in the gut, this is the thing that astounded me. They say they're estimated 300 trillion, not a typo, 300 trillion gut bacteria that lives in your body. 300 trillion. And they consist of about 200 different types of bacteria. Mind-boggling. Amazing. And then the article pointed out, it's so interesting, they're subdivided into two types of bacteria. The one that thrives on carbohydrates, and the other one that thrives on vegetables, etc. The good, the bad, and the good. They're both necessary, by the way. There's nothing totally bad, but the balance is necessary. So the interesting thing is, they eat the same food that you and I eat. Natural, of course. Anyway, I was just reading that this afternoon. Variety of different experiences, different ideas, different things, and so on that we see. But in the Sushupti Sthanam, which is what we are studying in the verse number 5, they kind of collapse together. This is what is called Ekibhutam. So here, Swami Akhandananda gave a very good example from Panchadashi. I don't remember exactly which, what chapter, what verse it is. He didn't mention it and I was too lazy to look it up. But apparently in Panchadashi, Swami Vidyaranya says, he's talking about the same thing, Shupti Avastha. He says that, look, during a daytime, if you look out into your garden, each tree looks very distinct from others. You can even identify it. This is a tree of magnolia, this is a tree of oak, and so on and so forth, very clearly. But then dusk comes, and there comes a point, this is about now, maybe a little bit earlier than this is. It is 8:09, maybe a little bit earlier than that, when the lights come on, external lights come on in the home. These trees lose their distinct identities and they just look like trees. They're from just their trees. You cannot tell which one is which unless you're there in your own garden and you know them. That's a different point. But if you're just looking out in a general garden, the distinction of each tree loses itself. And they all look like they're just black trees, some black silhouette against the sky. This is the dusk time. Then at night time, they even give up their distinction as a tree. You look at the same garden at 10 o'clock at night when it's really nothing, there's no moonlight, no nothing, no lights, outside lights. They're there, but they do not appear to be anything different from others. It's all a single blob. This is called ekibhutam. So this is exactly the phenomena that we go through every night. Before we go to sleep, we have different ideas, different thoughts, and all of that. And then, and by the way, the same thing happens on waking up. We studied this in some length with in the Panchadashi, in the Anandamaya section, the very last 5 chapters that we did, both getting up as well as going to sleep. But going to sleep is the same thing happens. You have a lot of different ideas, and pretty soon they are just some single thought. I am sleepy. And what they are, the thoughts kind of recede in the background. This is kind of like the dusk. Then when sleep comes, which is the Sushupti Avastha we are studying, there is no distinction between thoughts. They all become one. Ekibhutam. And in fact, the same thing is there for the next one, with 2 words are used. Ekibhutam pragyana ghanaha. Pragyana ghana has some more things to talk about. Hopefully we'll get into it. But ghanaha means like a mass. As ekibhuta ghanaha. They all kind of become dark. And so it is not a question of the darkness of the light. You can be taking a nap during the daytime when it is blazing light outside. But again, even with your eyes closed. Yeah, this happened to me. I don't want to do this, but every day in the afternoon, whether I am studying or doing something, sometimes just doing emailing and so on, and my eyes may still be open, but I take a nap and my head drops. And I know my wife sits there on the other side of this room, and she's working and so on. So sometimes she wants to look up and talk to me, but then I am gone. My head is down. And of course I close my eyes at that time, but I swear that when I do go to sleep, I am really doing something. And I can't believe right in the middle of replying to some email or something, I'm gone. This afternoon, actually, I wanted to send, I promised Chandra last night in our Aim for Seva meeting that we're getting late. We have to get all the details about this Sailorsburg retreat. So today I was going to do it this afternoon. Gone. I think must have slept for like half hour. Very pleasant, but what I'm saying is that I had no distinction of thoughts or anything. Now this will come exactly how does this happen and what is the implication. All of this will come hopefully even today, but we'll see when we go. But anyway, those words are there. Ekibhutam pragyana ghanaha. Then let's go to the next one. This is an important thing as well. Anandamayaha. So this make a note of this. I think many of you already know this, that the Sushupti Avastha is called Anandamaya. All these words are very carefully drafted to indicate exactly what is going on. It doesn't say Ananda Swarupaha. There is a difference between Ananda Swarupaha and Anandamayaha. So in fact, this suffix called Mayat, which makes it into Anandamayaha, has two different meanings. And I remember studying this with Swami Dayanandji when we were at the ashram. And so one of them is called Swarupaha. Swarupaha. The other one is Prachurya. Swarupartha. The other one is Prachuryartha. Prachuryartha means lots of it. One meaning is nothing but. So even you can even use the word Anandamayaha as a Swarupaha if you want to. But in the Shastra, that meaning is not taken. The other meaning is taken, which is Mayaha Prachuryartaha. Prachura Bhavaha. Prachura means lots of it. Plenty of it. What do we mean by that? Why is that important? So, as a distinction, it is said that it is everybody's experience. This is the fun part about teaching Vedanta, really, honestly. This is so much fun to me. Why? Because I am not teaching something to people that they do not share the same experiences as I do. We both have exactly the same. Everybody has the same experience, but some people will not listen. But when you start talking about Vedanta, what is fun is that what happens to me is also happens to you. And as we talk about it, we can identify with it. So, this point again, when we are in the Jagrat, the Swapna Avastha, I don't think I need to translate anymore. You all know Jagrat means waking, Swapna means dreaming. In these two states, there are lots of problems. We all know that. We share the same experiences. Lots of problems. Problems with things, with people, with thoughts, with health, food, security. Full of problems. Swami Dayanand used to mimic this. That's the word I was looking for. He used to mimic this state of problems. As he used to say that a jiva is like a drowning person, not a drowned person. Drowned person has no problem. He's dead, gone. There's no problem. And a person who's not drowning has very few problems. But a drowning person is full of problems. Why? Because for a minute you feel like you're okay, then you go down into you're not a swimmer, you think you're going to disappear, then you somehow survive for a few minutes. So this back and forth is called a drowning person. So the jiva, Swamiji used to mimic and say, if you really analyze it during the day, it is dukkha, 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 sukha, dukkha, 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 sukha, dukkha, dukkha, sukha, dukkha, sukha, dukkha, 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 sukha. The sukha is here very now and then. Predominantly it is dukkha. Dukkha means problems. So that's what characterizes our waking state. In the deep sleep state, Sushupti Avastha, you don't have many dukkha. You hardly have any dukkha at all. It seems to be all pleasant. They all recede somehow. It's very strange. So then the question would be, all right, that's our experience, of course, that it's all pleasant. But why do you call it mostly dukkha or mostly sukha? Why don't you just call it sukha? Why don't you just call it ananda? Why do you call it anandamaya? Shastra says for the following reason. This is important to see. You see, the nature of ananda, this is also one of those things that you should write down as an important rule to consider. In life, ananda is not experienced until we know it. Until we know it. Our experience means that our mind must be aware of it. Only then do we have ananda. We've seen many examples of that. I remember seeing an example from Swami Akhandanandaji's book. He said, sometimes it happens, the woman in the house, generally it's the woman, at least in my household, it could be opposite in yours, is the one that does the cooking. And before she serves it to everybody else, then supposing I'm tasting what she made. She says that she encourages me to say, please taste it and tell me if everything is okay. So she would ask me, is the salt okay? This is a real life experience. This happens many, many times. And you know what happens? I will tell her, I'm eating some dal with the roti. I'm already in the middle of the road in the meal. But now I am also reading something. Or I'm watching some sports. Generally speaking, I don't like to watch television, but I keep the score on my laptop to see if the Warriors are winning or losing or something. And occasionally I would look at it. Or if there's some stories, I'm reading it. So I'm eating and I'm reading at the same time. So she asked me, is the salt okay? And I will tell, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice it. Let me taste it. So I put my book down or the laptop down. Now I taste it. I say, it's a little bit too much. She says, okay, I think I can add some other things to it and so on. But this time, my taste is known to me. Previously, I was tasting it without knowing. Why? Because my mind was elsewhere. Very beautiful, look at it. This is a fact. Something we can both relate to. As I was saying earlier, this is the beauty of teaching, is that examples and experiences and so on can be shared. I'm not telling you something that you've never really seen. I can't. So, going back to why is it called Anandamayaha, not Ananda Swarupa, is because I don't know I am Ananda. What's keeping me from knowing that I'm Ananda? Self-ignorance. This is what self-ignorance means. This is one of the ways it expresses itself. I don't have any problems. No problems. But I am not aware of the fact that I don't have any problems. In fact, the only time that I can say I had a good sleep is after I get up. When I have knowledge of the fact from the memory of my sleep that there was no problem last night. I slept well. For a while, there were no problems. So that is my own experience. Some more things will come about that. But I'm just talking about, at this point, about the distinction between Ananda Swarupa and Ananda Maya. So, this is the reason why it's called Ananda Maya. And Ananda Maya, so just make a note of this. This is good. Ananda Maya, even though it is predominantly Sukha, is not what I really want. Amazingly. Even though by the mercy of the Creator, I kept calling it Creator, there's actually later on all that will be dismissed as no creation. There's a mercy of the very nature of what it is. You can call it creation for the time being. We are allowed to have a cessation of all dukkha. Very beautiful. I think Swami Dayananda used to say that if the sleep was not there, we would probably generally commit suicide before too long. As it is, the life seems very burdensome. But at least we have pockets of cessation of dukkha. Despite that, you see, this is interesting. Supposing you are told, I cannot make you deathless. I'll make you deathless. But what I can do is to put you to sleep forever. We actually have generally an unlimited state of sleep called when you are in coma. If you are in coma, so the doctor can say, okay, everybody wants amritam. We want the nectar of timelessness, and so on. So we say, okay, all right. The doctor says, I can do it to you. Really? It's like saying, I don't need God. I just need some local doctor who's very greedy because he wants about $500,000 if he can do that. But he can put me to permanent sleep. Will we go for that? Nobody would go for that. You know why? Because I don't want to be just free of problems. Although this is why people commit suicide, is that for the time being they cannot tolerate problems. So it is because they want to just somehow or the other get themselves dissociated. But otherwise, if somebody would say that we'll give you, these like the Egyptian mummies, that you will be in a permanent coma, we'll say, what difference? If I don't know that I am Ananda, what good does that do? So that's exactly what, this is the meaning of Anandamaya. Please see this very clearly. The meaning is, it is not Ananda Swarupa, and this is not a Purushartha. Purushartha means Purushanam Arthyate iti Purushartha. What people want. People want complete freedom. And unless they know they are free, that freedom doesn't mean anything. And even obviously, in the case of the Sushupti, it is called Anatyantikaha. This is a beautiful Sanskrit word. One is called Atyantikaha. Atyantikaha. Atyantika Sukham. So it comes from Ananta. The quality of Ananta. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Antam na vidyate yasya, whose end is not seen, not possible to see. That is in fact the nature of the Atma. So this is what is called Atyanta. Atyanta means that one which is Ananta. But Anantika means just the opposite. Anantika, and so basically we get periodic sukham even by eating and by sleeping and doing some temporary samadhi and so on. All that is possible, but it doesn't last. We already know that it doesn't last. The only problem is that there are people who think that can make it last more and more by doing more meditation. This is a big topic which we are going to discuss as part of this course. Somehow this is another problem, and this is where the whole yoga system is dismissed. Because the yoga system, if you can just keep on doing more and more Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then you will know yourself to be free. Doesn't help. Doesn't help. So, anyway, going back to now we know, I think we've talked enough about it. So, the Anandamayaha means Anand. Another word, very beautiful word, is Ananda Prayaha. So Anandamayaha means Ananda Prayaha. So one other Sanskrit word that you didn't know, another Sanskrit word that you don't know. Prayaha means mostly. Mostly. So this is the nature of the sleep. Okay. All right, let's go on. The next thing is Anandabhuk. One is Anandamayaha, and the next word is Sushuptasthanaha ekibhutaha prajnanaghanaha eva Anandamayaha hi Anandabhuk. Anandabhuk. Anandabhuk means this pragyaha. Pragyaha, you know who's pragyaha? Now we talked about who is Anandamayaha, Ekibhutaha, Ganaha. Who is that? It is you and I in a particular state. Is called pragya. In the sleep state, that's what the mantra was saying, right? Yatra. Yatra means in which state. It's kind of like, when you're getting a serious operation, then you are given anesthesia. You have to take anesthesia because it's just too painful. So the state of being in anesthesia is a state. Something is given to you, something happens to you, and you're kind of put into sleep for the time being. I still remember I was 9 years old. And I used to I'm beset by this respiratory problems from the very beginning. Still going on. I'm still talked to my doctor today and said, I still have some stuff. And anyway, when I was 9 years old, I had my tonsils removed. And so they took me to, I was with my grandparents in Amritsar. So they took me to a doctor and they told me at a time that, listen, they are going to get your tonsils removed, which is a very painful, serious operation. But before that, we will put you to sleep. So this is what's going to happen. And so you won't feel it. So I said, okay. I didn't know anything about it. So I still remember this so well. So I was lying down on the bed and the doctor came in, a very nice doctor. And he said, son, in Hindi he told me, आपको गिनती करनी आती है? Do you know how to count? So I said, what are you talking about? I'm 9 years old. Yes. He says, okay, just show it to me. So I started to say 1. In the meantime, I think he had already injected the anesthesia. I still remember I could count up to 9 or 10. And after that, I was gone. So when I got up, it was all done and everything. So there is a state. So the Shupti is exactly like Ishvara has provided a natural anesthesia. Just look at it. What a beautiful thing. What is this Prakriti made out of? A natural anesthesia like no other anesthesia. It doesn't require any injection, doesn't require any side effects. And it is the best possible thing. This Sushupti Avastha. So this is what we're talking about, pragya. So pragya means a person who has been anesthetized is called pragya. Otherwise it is Vishwaha or Tejasaha in the other 2 states. But in this state you are called, this is the name that we are given, pragya. So this pragya is Ananda Bhuk. Ananda Bhuk means he eats, he or she, you or I'm a he, you could be a she. You eat only Ananda. Bhumte. Bhumte means one who eats. Eats means one who experiences. It calls for all the sense organs. So Ananda Bhuk means one who only eats Ananda. He doesn't, you and I do not have the nature of experiencing any dukkha. Because The dukkha can also has to be eaten. It doesn't, it comes from outside. Dukkha comes from outside. It is not my nature. My nature is Paramatma. So by left to itself, there is no dukkha. But there is a superimposition of dukkha by experiencing, by eating. So that one means that I am experiencing. Just a second. Let me see something. Yeah, okay, sorry. All right, now in the description of this method of eating, okay, there is a discussion and an explanation and teaching of the relationship of pragyaha, which is the vyashti purusha, and ishvaraha, which is the samashti purusha. Remember the chart that we had made, right? So in the chart we had drawn was a coordinate six pockets of the coordinates. So the three states of awareness, and vyashti, which is microcosm, and samashti, which is macrocosm, right? We had done that. So if you recall that in the waking state, it was Vishwa and Vaishwanaraha, or also called Virat. So those were the two within the same state, Vyashti and Samashti. Then in the Swapnavastha, it was what? It was Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha. Taijasa was the Vyashti and Hiranyagarbha was the Samashti. Then we saw, if you recall to go back to it, in the Sushupti Avastha, it is Pragyaha and Ishvaraha. So I remember I didn't understand until I read Swami Akhandananda's explanation why the samashti for pragyaha is Ishvara. So this will be, it's a little complex topic, okay? So we'll have to please stay with me, and I'll try to portray as best as I can how this is the case. I think I have some understanding of this. But in the Ananda book, this topic is now addressed, and the remainder of this verse number 5, mantra number 5, basically we are going to be discussing this in one form or the other, and it's very subtle, very not easy to grasp for any one of us, including me, but we must, because it's important to do so. So let's start with that. And we may have to go back and forth, vectorize it, so it's not a straight line, linear line, but we will go into it with backfill it, go forward, all of that. So let's see. Let's just see how it goes. So to start with, I remind all of you that this explanation by Gaudapadacharya on the Mandukya is on the basis of Ekajiva Vada. Ekajiva Vada. And what that means to us is that it's not as though as it can be done. And in fact, Swami Kananda points out that in the Panchadashi and some other texts that is done that way, where the distinction between Jiva and Ishvara is kept separate for quite a while, and it only comes together at the end. So there it could be Aneka Jiva Vada. Vada means a school of thought. And as a prakriya, that also will work. But in the case of Eka Jiva Vada, the distinction between the Vyashti and Samashti is collapsed at the very beginning. And the whole explanation of Vedanta is with respect to how the two appear to be different, but in fact are one and the same from the very beginning. In the Aneka Jiva Vada, which is traditional Vedanta, including Panchadashi, it is said that two are they are different to begin with, but eventually we will show you that they are all the same. In the Eka Jiva Vada, it is said, let's not even pretend that they are different to begin with. They are all the same. But unfortunately, you feel they are not the same. And let me tell you what your error is. Okay? So for beginning, in this context of Anand the book, it is said that really speaking, it is a single jiva who is only interested in experiencing sukha. There's not multiple jivas, but in the case of samashti, which is Ishvara, Ishvara has a way of looking at things which removes all problems, all distinctions. Whereas the jiva, even though it is the same, looks at things differently. And looking at things differently means that can be corrected. It's not a permanent problem. As we have said, that really speaking, our not knowing ourselves is very much like cataract. It has some kind of a covering that can be easily removed. You don't have to put in some artificial eye or anything like that. Your eye is healthy. So therefore, it is said in the Eka Jiva Vada that it's just a way of looking at things. That's all. This by the way is going to be taken up in great detail with lots of examples and so on. You know, I was reading in the same issue, but at a different level. In the Anatha Shanti Prakaranam, the last Prakaranam, Gaudapadacharya ji is pointing out, and look at it. Jiva and Ishvara look at the same things differently. That's all. They don't need to, but they do. Like, for example, a jiva says this is left of me and this is right of me. When Ishvara looks at it, is there a left or a right? There isn't. The left and the right only pertains to a particular point in desha and kala. But there's no reality to it. This we will discuss in more detail, and I'm just bringing it in as one point of it. But I'm not ready to give you the full explanation of what it means until later. All that will come later. But here, going back to it, that in the case of Jiva and Ishvara, in the case of Prajna and Ishvara, there's really very little, there's hardly any difference at all. They both behave the same way, but the results are very different because of some problems that we have. We don't look at it the right way. So here, in the Akhandananda ji's explanation, he says, he gives an example. There is in the Yoga Darshanam, there is apparently a very famous Tikakara called Vijnana Bhikshu. So there is a Mahatma in the Yoga Darshana called Vijnana Bhikshu, that's his name. So he says that in the case of Jiva, the Ananda comes from Bhoga. Bhoga again means the experience. We only have Ananda when we have Bhoga. When we have Bhoga, I want to eat. I want to listen to good music. And when I listen to good music that I like, I eat some things that I like, then I have Ananda. If those things are not there, then I say I'm not happy. This is what we do. Ishvara, on the other hand, is the following. His job is to make sure that others eat well. His whole idea is, because it's not as though Ishvara feels hungry. It doesn't feel wanting, doesn't want anything. It's already fulfilled. So it's only way of life is to feed others. That's it. And both of them are the same person. It's the same person. It is just like, as we have talked about, that a room space is also space, and the whole space is also space. It's the same person. But because of the akriti of the walls, etc., there is a false sense of being enclosed in it. That's it. But Akasha is Akasha. So Ananda is Ananda. But because I feel that I am the body only, and whatever the body wants, I want to do. Not true. As we will see more and more, this is not true. I'm okay whether I have the body or not. In fact, in the deep sleep, I have no body. And in the dream state, I have a different body. I don't have the same body. So my bhoga is not dependent on the body, but I think I do. I think I am dependent on it. This, by the way, this beautiful distinction between Jiva and Ishvara is also talked about in the Mundaka Upanishad, very famous, that I have cited it myself, and I cited it because I also was confused at one time. I'll tell you why. So in this says, on a tree there are two birds that are friends sitting on the same tree. So it says, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishwasya Jate Tayoho Anyaha Pippalam Swadu Anti Anan Ashnaha Anyaha Abhishakashiti. This is the verse. It's 311. If you have a chance, please read that verse and also see the commentary on it, Adi Shankara, Anandagiri, it's a very beautiful one. So there was a doubt in my mind that the Jiva bird, so what it says is, let me explain the verse. What it says is that on a tree there are two birds, both with beautiful plumage, and both belonging to the same family and are friends. You remember we had taken up this verse, if you recall, a few classes back, where the nama, the name, and the vastu was talked about, where the Jiva had complained to Ishvara that we two are friends, but you've taken everything and you haven't given me anything. So the Ishvara says, okay, what? You take the nama and I will take the rupa. Remember that? We had discussed that. So something very similar to that. So with all these kinds of explanations, finally it's dawning on me why there are two birds and what is the implication of it. It's really just one bird, but they appear to be two. So there, anyway, to finish off this explanation of this verse, it says, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya Samanam Vriksham Parishasva Jate. There are two beautiful birds sitting on the same tree. Tayoho Anyaf Pippalam Swaduvatti. Out of those, one of the birds is tasting things, sometimes sweet and sometimes bitter, exactly as our experiences are. And the other one, Anashnan, not eating, just looks at and enjoys. It doesn't taste anything. So this is the second one, which is the Ishvara. there, in this explanation, it is said that, really speaking, when the jiva behaves like a vyashti jiva, behaves like it gets into problems because it has abdicated its happiness to bhoga. But the same jiva, if it understands that I am okay, don't even need to eat anything, don't need any experiences, I'm free the way I am. It takes some analysis and some understanding, but that's the truth. It's exactly like a room space. For a while says, no, what are you talking about? I'm room space. You're talking about I'm space. I don't understand what you're talking about. Finally dawns on him. Oh my gosh, you're right. I was not looking at it the right way. You know, if you recall, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the meditation that I did, which was kind of like last minute, I just thought of it on the face-to-face satsang that we did in San Jose a month or so ago. Then I did a meditation on it. So I just had the same idea, so I thought I would just talk about that. So there I had said that between a Jivatma and Paramatma, both of them have the same factors. So one is Drik and the other one is Drishya. One is the seer and the other one is seen. You and I have the same thing. Paramatma also has the same thing. There's no distinction. Then, so what's the big issue? The only thing is that the Jivatma is too enamored with what is seen. Does not give adequate attention, adequate understanding, adequate appreciation, I think is the right word. Insufficient appreciation of the glory of the Drik. It's like, in the example of the room space, you're really totally, you are not you personally, but we, you and I both, are enamored with what the room looks like. The walls are pretty or not. Are they solid or not? And insufficient appreciation of the very beauty of the Chidakasha. If the Akasha had awareness of it, so that awareness of the, so it says, I am the room. So, I am is not adequately understood. Only the room is accentuated, over accentuated. Sorry. But in the case of Ishvara, Paramatma, there is a world of creation. But the distinction is much more towards the Drik. And what is there, as we will see in our approach, is really not real. It It is just my own reflection looking like the whole world. So that's all. There's no difference between Jivatma and Paramatma. It's the same thing here also. And, it's very interesting that we talk about Vairagya, where being okay with what's happening in the world, with tolerance. And so the question is, why should I be tolerant? The world also needs to treat me decently as I treat the world decently. Don't I have the right to be reciprocating? Why should I be tolerant and so on? The answer is, the world does not need, the world doesn't know it is complete. I am told I am complete, and I'm beginning to understand it. So I don't need to eat anything. I'm not hungry. The world may be hungry. It's like, you should not pick up a fight with a child because the child doesn't know. But you know. Why pick up a fight with a child? It's unequal. And you should not go around telling everybody, because that doesn't mean anything. They will laugh at you. But inside you know. And if you don't, then please know. Please think about it. And please ascertain clearly that you are not hungry. You are okay the way you are. And that is the very Ishvara within you. That is the very Ishvara, not even within you, that is the Ishvara that is you. So it's all one thing. It is not multiple. It's just a way of looking at it. This is what is Eka Jiva Vada. So that's just on this topic. We're going to do this more. But in the Ananda book, where you are the experience of Ananda, both of them experience Ananda. But one of them knows I am the Ananda. The other one may experience it but does not know that I am the Ananda. There's a big distinction between them. So with this, I think I will stop the class and continue on. But this is a very important topic of the it's a very important topic of why in the Sushupti Avastha the Samashti Purusha is Ishvara. Why? So we're not finished with that. We're just starting to do with it. But I think we've laid the foundation within Eka Jiva Vada and it, all of that. So this is the beauty of these. When I studied, this is the first time I didn't know about all these. Really, the clear thing was the consistency of the Eka Jiva Vada. What does it mean? How does it manifest itself? The whole thing now began to make sense to me, and this is what I'm trying to communicate. So anyway, we'll go ahead with that in the next class. And yeah. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Very good. Thank you. Wonderful to see you all. Very good to see that Arvind Taylor is back from India and he has initiated the shipment of the books from Swami Akhandananda ji. And I think he's planning to set a date where people can come and pick up the books from him. All of that is happening. So I really appreciate his opportunity and his helpfulness in getting this thing done. So look forward to it one of these days. All right, with that I take your leave and hopefully we'll see you next week.